All right, so linear functions and slope. Still, we'll be talking about the functions, but we'll see some special kind of functions which are called linear functions, and also we will try to evaluate their slope. We don't know exactly what slope is and why we need the slope, but we'll probably discuss those when we'll be there. Now, first of all, what is the slope of a line? Now, let's say you have, in this discussion, for the time being, anytime I talk about the line, we assume that is a straight line. But remember, line doesn't have to be a straight line. It can be curved, right? But here, every time we mention line, that means a straight line, just for this moment. Now, slope is a number. Okay, you will get the slope for each and every line. You can get it just using an equation. The reason we need the slope, because just by looking at the slope, you will be able to know what kind of line you have, whether in the line that is an increasing function, that is decreasing, that is constant. You'll know it from the slope. We already know the increasing behavior and decreasing and constant behavior. Now, how can you find the slope? Let's say this is a line you are given. Okay. Now, all you need is, you just need, again, as I said, every time I mention line, that means a straight line, because the slope and the way we are discussing at this point, those discussions are not valid in case of curves or different kind of lines except a straight line. Now, when you are evaluating the slope, all you need is, you need just 2 points on that line, any 2 points. It doesn't have to be specific 2 points. You just need any 2 points. But you cannot evaluate the slope without 2 points. You just need 2 points. Let's say you have a line, and these are the 2 points you are given. 2 points mean the coordinates of 2 points, right? x1, x1, y1, x2, y2. And all you need is, you have to, this is the formula you have for the slope. y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Once you have it, once you know it, you should be able to find the slope. Now, here, this was your, so now let's say you have 2 points. Some people get confused that which one is x1, y1 and which one is x2, y2, right? That doesn't matter. You can either assume this is your x1, y1 and this is x2, y2, or either you can do the vice versa. It doesn't matter, okay? Just assume that you keep track of which one is x1, y1 and which one is x2, y2, because you will end up with the same number. So at this point here, for this question, we assume this is x2, y2, this is x1, y1. So now you have y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. And then you will end up with negative 6 over 5. So your slope is negative for this case. Now, you can always find the slope from 2 points, but what do you know from the slope? You will be able to use the slope for plenty of different things, but the first basic thing is, just from the slope, you know something about the line. First of all, if the slope is positive, then you will know that the line rises from left to right. Again, this is a straight line, right? So if the slope is positive, remember the slope is denoted by m, small m in mathematics, okay? Every time you see a small m, that means they're talking about the slope. If the slope is positive, that means the line is rising from left to right, just like this one, first one. If the slope is negative, line is basically falling from left to right. Second picture at the top. If the slope is 0, line is horizontal, that means that is parallel to x-axis. If the slope is undefined. Now what do you mean by undefined? If it is divided by 0. Something is divided by 0 means undefined. You see what I'm saying? Let's say 5 divided by 0. Nobody knows what it is. It just means undefined. Anytime you divide something by 0, that means undefined. Now if your slope is undefined, that means the slope is basically, line is basically vertical. Doesn't matter what kind, where it is, but as long as the line is vertical, your slope will be always undefined. And that means your line is vertical and that is parallel to y-axis. Because any vertical line will be parallel to y-axis, right? That's exactly what it is. So, you know, just from the slope, you know one behavior of the line. And remember, all these equations of the line are basically called linear functions, but we'll be there soon. Now, let's try one example here and see whether we can find the slope. As long as you have 2 points, you should be fine, right? Doesn't matter which one you assume x1, y1, and which one you assume x2, y2. See whether you can find the slope for this line. There are 2 points, 5 minus 2, minus 1, 7. Now the point slope form of the equation of a line. Now the point slope form of the equation of a line. Now remember that using the slope, you can also find the equation of a non-vertical line. The reason why you cannot the vertical line is because in case of the vertical line, the slope is undefined. So that's why except the vertical lines, you will be always able to get an equation for your line when you know the slope. How you will get that? Look at the equation. All you need to do is y minus y1 equals to m times x minus x1. Now, first of all, to find an equation for a line, you will need 2 points. Because using the 2 points, you will first find the slope. Right? Once you have the slope, you are done. Because all you need is, you have to replace the slope here, and then you have to write x1 here, y1 here, but remember, xy will be still xy's, because they are the parameter x and y. You cannot replace x and y. You will replace x1 and y1 by any point. You have 2 points, right? Don't assume that you will have to pick 1 point. You can pick either one, which one you like. It doesn't have to be a fixed one. You can either one you can use. Now let's see whether we can find an example. Yeah, there's a nice example here. So write the equation in point slope form of the line with a slope 4 that passes through the point 4 minus 3. Now how you solve it? So let's write the equation first. So the equation is y minus y1 equals to m times x minus x1. Now what is given? What is y1 here? Negative 3. So just write negative 3. What is m here? 4, which is given. 4. What is x1 here? 4. So you are done. Remember, you will keep x and y's as it is, because those are the parameter x and y. So so your equation is going to be y plus 3 equals to, let's take the bracket out, 4x minus 16. Now you can just probably, it's up to you how you write it. Maybe you can write all the function just like the way you write the function y equals to something, right? So you basically isolate the y in one side. So you can write the function that way. So what you can do is just write y equals to 4x minus 16. To get rid of this 3, negative 3. So your function is going to be 4x minus 19, right? Do you see the answer here? 4x minus 19. That's how we get 4x minus 19. You know what we did here, right? There's 2 ways. Either you subtract 3 in both sides, or you change the 3, change the side of the 3, then your sign will be changed, right? So the equation is going to be y equal to 4x minus 19. And this is the equation for the line. So for all the line, you will have an equation. Doesn't matter what line it is. If it is as long as this is a straight line, you will have an equation. Even for the vertical lines, there are equations. But we cannot find the equation of the vertical line in this way, because for each and every vertical line, the slope will be undefined. Any question? I think we can. So this is how we wanted to show you that, because this is x and y, this is the equation, you just plug the numbers, and then this is what you get, you adjusted it, and then you get. So that's called the slope intercept form. Now this is another example. I think we have the same example here. Now remember, you are given 2 points and you need to write an equation in points form, then you can use either point, as I said. Now let's look at an example here. Now in the last example, we were given the slope and 1 point, right? Now you are given 2 points but no slope. So you first have to find the slope from the 2 points, because as long as you have any 2 points, you can find the slope, right? So that's exactly what we did. At the first step, you see, we're trying to find the small m. It's basically the equation for m, right? Which is your slope. So you are given 2 points. We just use those 2 points to find the slope, and the slope is -1. Just the slope equation. Now once you have the slope equation, you have to write the equation for the line. You are done with the slope, you know the slope, then you write the equation for the line. This is the equation for the line, and here you replace the m by -1, because you know the m is -1, right? You replaced it. Now, as you know that these x and y's will be the parameters, so you don't change that, but you will change x1s and y1s. Now this is the time we have to understand. Now look at this. We have written 5 here, -4 here, because we are taking the last point. There are 2 points, right? But what happens if you don't take that, and if you take just -1, 2? You will have the same answer, surprisingly. See, it doesn't matter which point you take. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to, see, in this solution, we take 5 and -4. We took the last point. There are 2 points, right? But instead, if you take -1, 2, so you write -1 here and 2 here. Oh, I'm sorry, -1 here and 2 here, you will still end up with the same answer. So it doesn't matter which point you take. You know what I'm saying? So don't get confused by the original equation, because the original equation said x1, y1. So sometimes people think, oh, okay, so we have to always take the x1s, y1s. That means the one we assume x1 and y1 is not true. You can take any points, either one. I think we can practice a problem. Let's see whether we can find the equation for this one. So applying the same steps. Now you are given 2 points. We'll first find the slope, and then from the slope we'll apply the slope and 1 point into the equation of the line, and then we'll find the equation for that line. So let's see whether we can solve it. So we'll first find the slope, which will be m. So the equation of the slope y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So let's say, we can take any point as x1, y1. So it will be like, let's say 5 minus 0 over 2 minus 1. Do you have the same slope? 5 over 3? Okay, so let's write the equation then. So I'm replacing the, alright, so let's replace it by, I'm taking negative 1, 0 as my point. So y is 0, m is 5 over 3, x is x minus 1. Okay. Now here, this is your y. So 5 over 3 times x plus 1, right? Now there are several ways of adjusting this, but now the easiest way is you want to get rid of this 3, right, at the bottom, because the slope is 5 over 3. One option is you can multiply both sides by 3. So you will get rid of this 3 because you multiply both sides by 3. So then your left side is going to be 3y, and this side is going to be 5 times x plus y, because you got rid of 3 because you multiplied both sides by 3, and then 3 and divided by 3 got cancelled. And then after that, 3y equals to 5x plus y, 5x plus 5. And then you can stop here, that's one option, or you could have even stopped here. So either you could have stopped here or here. Now, when you will be answering the question to MyMATLAB, it depends on how they want your answer. Or let's say your answer is given in multiple choice form. In that case, you have to check which form they have given. Okay, sometimes you may have to tweak and twist a little bit, because you can write the same equation in multiple forms. This equation and this equation is same to us. There is no difference. Okay, even if you have like everything in the left side, like 3y minus 5x minus 5, you still have the same equation, 3y minus 5x minus 5 equal to 0, because you basically took everything in the left side and changed the sign. Or you just subtracted 5x and 5 from both sides. Or even if you just take this to right side, what it will be? 5x minus 3y plus 5. Let me write it down. 5x minus 3y plus 5 equals to 0. So what I'm saying is, all these equations represent the same line. They are just different forms of the line. Okay? So when you will be answering the question in MyMATLAB, just see what form you have there and answer that. Okay? But when you write in page and paper, you can write any of those. So because all the equations are same. You are just writing the same equation in different forms. Do you have any questions about the MyMATLAB questions or homeworks? So now you should try section 1.3, because this is section 1.4. I'm sure that will be done section 1.4 tomorrow, and also we'll start 1.5, and we'll try to finish 1.5 tomorrow as well. Yeah, because we wanted to finish up to that point. Any question? All right, so see you tomorrow then. Yeah, sure.